Hello everyone, welcome back. Severus here, coming back with a new part of What If Deku Was Like Toji. Now, before we get right into it, guys, some of you may wonder, hey Severed, you didn't you have like exams? Are they over? Are you free now? What's going on? And to that I say, my humble, monstrous, and crazy pals, or whoever you are. If you're a random watcher, I don't care about you, but regardless of which, yes, my exams are over, and I'm now finally free, which means that I'll be back into pumping out videos faster and quicker than any Mexican mother can pump out children. So, well, with that being said, let's just get right into the video, shall we? And now, where we last left off, Midoriya gave a quick visit to the hero killer Stain, trying to get some informations out of him, and perhaps even learn what Stain's training regiment is. After all, when he fought him, Stain was amazing. Stain might have been the closest thing that could compare to Midoriya. Not at the same level, of course, but the way he managed to train his body without actually having a special body such as Midoriya's body, it was amazing. And Midoriya needed to know his training regiment because perhaps he thinks if he trains like Stain, he might even get much more stronger. Thankfully, Stain was more than welcoming to helping Midoriya, believing him to be a true hero, but at the same time telling him to keep on the righteous path or else he'll have to kill him eventually, which Midoriya agrees to. And after he basically told him his training regiment and also gave him a few tricks and taught him a bit about that, well, death, the blood stare, as Stain calls it, or bloodlust, Midoriya left. Now, of course, Class 1A will gonna have their entire thing where they go into the training camp. But let's be honest here. The training camp isn't very eventful. The same thing happened in that training camp, except the fact that Midoriya trains on his own. And one more thing, when he was training on his own, the old man came out of the forest and called upon him, which Midoriya found. He wondered how the hell did he find him here. He explained to him that, well, he'll gonna find him anywhere. After all, his weapons are made by him. But regardless of that, the old man told Midoriya that he has a new weapon for him, which he gave it. A 4 sections nunchuck. That Midoriya, when he looked at it, it was weird, but the old man told that it should be perfect for him and the way that he fights. Midoriya thanks the old man, takes the nunchucks, and perhaps start training with it. And trying, of course, Stain's training regiment too. After that, old man just leaves immediately before anybody sees him. Midoriya starts training with his new weapon that the old man called the Playful Cloud. As the normal stuff just goes on, everybody just training, yada yada yada, until the time where the League of Villains finally attacks. Everybody comes and everybody starts running away. The Dabi burns down the forest and Moonfish fight against the two, well, Baku and Shoto, and of course Midoriya is right now standing in front of Muscular. However, Muscular fight didn't go as Midoriya's planned. Muscular was simply too powerful for him. And even though that Midoriya has his worm with him, he didn't have it by the time that they were having this little test of courage, because, Mandalay and Pixie Bob did not allow him to have it on. And besides, he believed that actually no one can find them here since this location was supposed to be secret. So Midoriya has to fight against Muscular with his own bare fists, which he held his own for a while, surprising even Muscular, but in the end, the simple, sheer, overwhelming strength of Muscular captured Midoriya and knocked him out. He even injured him quite heavily. Thankfully, however, Midoriya gave enough time for little Koda to run away. And when Muscular tried to find Koda, sadly he couldn't. Thankfully he couldn't find him. After which, Dabi relocates with the rest of the League of Villains, showing that they already have captured Bakugo and that Muscular already has Midoriya. They immediately leave the place. The rest of the students are in disbelief, cannot believe that Bakugo and Midoriya are being taken away. And the next day, when everyone goes into the hospital, they wonder what's going on and what are they going to do, but what about the heroes? Kirishima still gives the idea of them to go after Bakugo and Midoriya, which in the normal show, of course, he was going to do regardless of Midoriya, of anybody going with him. So, of course, right now the team will be Kirishima, Momo, Todoroki, and Ida will gonna try to go with them since Midoriya is his friends and he saved his life once, and to try and make sure that those guys don't get themselves killed. So that's the team that will gonna try to save Bakugo and Midoriya, while the heroes are trying to, of course, save Bakugo and Midoriya too. Aizawa retrieves Midoriya's worm, which was keeping saying mommy the whole time, and, begging to be hugged, which Aizawa can just feel it. This worm, although it doesn't show a lot of emotions or speaks a lot, it's really sad that Midoriya is gone. It misses its master and it's one to reunite with it as soon as possible. So Aizawa took it and kept it in its care for the meantime. After which, in the night, the attack on the League of Villains start, but while that's happening, immediately by that same time, All Might enters through the same, what is it called again? Oh yeah, the bar. Damn it, why did I forget that? Anyway, the bar of the League of Villains. They attack, they break in, but while that's going on, Baku is being talked by the League of Villains, but he wonders where is Midoriya, because he's not here. On the other side with, of course, Mount Lady, Gang Orca, and Tiger, they break through the Nomo facility, and they find the Pixie Bob, or what's her name? Ragdoll, I mean. They found Ragdoll unconscious, and also the body of Midoriya inside a tomb, all naked, and, when Tiger puts his ear into Midoriya's chest, his heartbeat was non-existent. Immediately, he's screaming, telling that this kid is dead. After which, of course, the rest of the heroes cannot believe it, but eventually, Tiger managed to take them both out of there to the infirmaries. While that's happening, All For One immediately using his air cannon to blast all those heroes away. And while they are all on the ground, all the heroes are bleeding. Gang Orca, of course Mount Lady, but thankfully the number 4 Best Jeanist managed to save them all and get them out of harm's way. While on behind the wall, Kirishima, Momo, Todoroki, and Ida are first in disbelief. They're having imaginations of death in their heads going wild, and the thought that Midoriya is dead? They heard them. Tiger said Midoriya was dead. They can't believe it. What are they supposed to do now? But while that's going on, immediately All For One teleports to the League of Villains and Bakugo to him. As he looks into Bakugo, he welcomes him saying, "My apologies, young Bakugo, but I couldn't allow the heroes to have their hands on you. After all, Tomura deemed you worthy and a very important piece in his plans." As Shigaraki, looking into his master floating up in the air, he said, "Master, what are you doing? You can't fight." As he said, "Well, Tomura, it seems that you have lost again. But don't worry." As he gets closer, putting his hands in front of Tomura Shigaraki, as he said, "All what you need is to do is to regroup and try again. Try as many times as you need. I'll be always here to support you." As then, out of the side of All For One's eyes, or non-existent eyes, he senses All Might coming at him like a bullet, before both of them slams their fist into each other's hands, as All Might telling him to give me back my student. As All For One said, "Are you here to kill me again, All Might?" As both of them push each other back, and the air pressure pushes the League of Villains and Bakugo away. And while the fights keep going on, Bakugo is fighting against the League of Villains while the 4 teammates, being Ida, Momo, Kirishima, and Shoto, thinking of how they could possibly save Bakugo out of that scenario. But on the other hand, Tiger has taken Ragdoll and Midoriya into the infirmary, As right now, with well, an ambulance, right, putting them both on some beds, an ambulance right now checks on Mandalay. Mandalay is still alive, but Midoriya is dead. Aizawa is also there because he had to be there. He had to bring Midoriya's worm with him. And since the worm doesn't trust anybody beside Aizawa, since it's the only person that Midoriya trusted him enough to give him the worm. As right now, when Aizawa sees Tiger bringing back Midoriya, and when he checks on his heartbeat being all 0, he couldn't believe it. He immediately asked for the Togators to do something, but they don't know what to do. They trying to do something. However, eventually, they used a shocking device, or the thing that they use to start somebody's heart, as they use it and shock Midoriya, but still nothing happening. They try it again and still nothing happening. They tried a third time and nothing so far. But Aizawa is still holding to hope. He cannot let Midoriya die. He gone so far and did so much to die like this. He starts yelling at him, telling him to wake up. You're gonna die like this after all you've gone through. I thought you were going to be the #1 hero, isn't that right, Midoriya? As, while they are still trying to do something, trying to save Midoriya by any means, trying to start his heart. On the other hand, All Might is fighting against All for One, and right now he can't do much, since Bakugo is there holding him back. All Might is barely able to fight. As while the fight keeps going on, eventually, All for One aims on Bakugo to shoot him and kill him, which immediately All Might jumps in front of All for One to take the hit, which finally revealed All Might's weakened form. The League of Villains seeing it, Bakugo seeing it, All for One seeing it, the entire world seeing it, as All for One start taunting All Might, saying, well, isn't that the pathetic image of the #1 hero, All Might? Hollow cheeks and sunken eyes. What kind of hero you are. It's time for the world to see the fragile form, to realize that their #1 hero, their symbol of peace, is indeed a human, and a fragile one at that. As well, All Might start telling All for One that he's going to fight regardless, but then All for One pulls out his ace of the card, his winning trump card, if you will. He revealed that Tomura Shigaraki, the man that's right now standing beside All Might, right there, is Nana Shimura's grandchild, which All Might couldn't believe. He looks into Shigaraki, but he just cannot believe it. No way. But All Might keep telling him that, of course he is. The sad boy, I found him on the street one day, all alone with nobody. And of course I extended him a hand of friendship, a hand to help him. When no hero helped him, I was there. As All Might realizing this information, and Bakugo seeing the fragile image of All Might, how broken he is, All Might starts yelling in disbelief about this newfound, formations. He just broken, but suddenly All Might feels something stepping beside him. As when he looks into Shigaraki and the rest, Bakugo seeing the League of Villains, they all suddenly fall unconscious. As Bakugo doesn't realize what's going on. What the hell is going on? Shigaraki, Toga, Mr. Compress, Twice, all of them are immediately knocked out. They're on the ground. And All for One himself didn't sense anything. But when All Might looks at the League of Villains, as he suddenly starts feeling something beside him. He looks into his left and he sees the image of Midoriya standing beside of him, completely emotionless. He couldn't feel him. He was there and he couldn't feel him. Bakugo also seeing Midoriya. And he see Midoriya with his worm around his body and wearing his hero costume. Let's get back a couple of minutes before all of this. While Aizawa was trying to, scream at Midoriya to basically wake him up. He starts losing hope, and the doctor's thinking that he might actually be dead. However, Midoriya's worm that's wrapping around Aizawa's body right now spit out something as it starts spitting out more stuff. And Aizawa, seeing that it starts spitting out a couple of, well, shocking guns or electric tasers, as Aizawa, wondering what the worm is trying to do, he realized it. The worm is basically trying to tell him to use more electricity to shock him even harder. As, well, Aizawa told the doctor about that, and, well, they told him if they use any high voltage, that might just shut down his entire body even more. Midoriya is right now brain dead, which means that the rest of his body is functional, but there is no electricity in his brain. And that's why they need more electricity. But a ridiculous amount as that can kill any regular human. But when Aizawa heard the doctor say that, he said that Midoriya isn't any regular human. So just do it. As well, the doctors put a high voltage battery, and Aizawa holds a couple of these, well, tasers. Even Tiger is helping, as immediately they all shock Midoriya together, which just causes his body to jump off. And suddenly Midoriya stands up, and Aizawa said, "Midoriya, are you?" But in that moment, Midoriya looking down, Aizawa wondering, "Are you okay?" But then he blinks, and all of a sudden, the worm around his body and Midoriya just disappear. They both are gone. He couldn't even see it. And we cut back into the place where Midoriya is standing right beside All Might's side. As All For One seeing Midoriya, he couldn't believe what he see. He couldn't sense him. And he has a quirk that allows him to sense people, and yet Midoriya was still invisible even for him. As he said, "Ah, if it isn't young Midoriya himself. I believe you're still alive? How surprising. I hope the doctor did not hurt you badly." As All Might wonders, "What are you doing here, young Midoriya?" And Baku is also like, "Deku?" As he looks back into the League of Villains being unconscious, as Midoriya suddenly pulls out something out of his worm. He pulls out the playful cloud, as immediately he puts his worm on the ground, and All Might seeing Midoriya putting the worm on the floor to allow himself for much more easier and quicker movement. As Midoriya start getting ready to fight, All Might seeing Midoriya taking a fighting stand, pointing at All For One. All Might saying, "No, no, 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 no. You don't know what you're doing. Midoriya, this is madness. Stay back. This is my battle. You cannot win this fight." As All For One said, "You should listen to your master, young boy. You are strong, I'll give you that. But without a quirk of your own, there is no way you could possibly defeat me." As All Might said, "Please, Midoriya, you are strong. What do you want me to say more than that? You don't need to prove anything to anyone. Just please let me handle." But then, suddenly Midoriya rushes into All For One, and before All For One even manages to react, he gets his face slammed with the playful cloud, sending him flying into a building. As All Might couldn't even realize what happened, just seeing the flying body of All For One slamming into a building before the entire building falls on All For One. His in absolute awe. Baku is also completely shocked. What is going on? That was fast. Too fast, in fact. All Might wonders that was even faster for Midoriya. He never see him go this fast. As while Midoriya is standing, All For One immediately using an air-pressured cannon, shooting at Midoriya, which Midoriya dodges before he comes out of the wall, as he said, "It seems that you are quite strong, and it seems that you have ignored your master's wishes. So be it. I was hoping to turn your body into a Nomu vessel, but I guess I'm gonna have to kill you. What a waste of such a perfect imagery. And such a perfect vessel." as immediately he uses another air cannon to blast Midoriya. However, Midoriya rushes into All For One, dodging his air cannon before All For One using his whip with his other hand, wrapping it around Midoriya's leg before tossing him into a building. As he's slamming into the top of a building, All For One thinking that he killed Midoriya, but then suddenly a car flies on top of him as he, blocks it with his tendrils. However, more cars start flying at All For One from the building, as while these cars are flying and All For One trying to defend himself using his quirk activation whip, Midoriya jumps after those cars and starts bouncing at them while they are flying towards All For One. As All For One managed to slam one away suddenly on top of that car, Midoriya jumps over and using his playful cloud, sending All For One face slamming into the floor, before grabbing All For One by his jacket and throwing him away. The entire giant figure of All For One tossed around. And All Might just watching this. Midoriya keep going. All For One using his air cannon to defend himself, but Midoriya is still fighting. And he's fighting like a monster. He's not talking, he's just acting. As All For One is struggling. He's having a hard time. Everyone in the cameras are watching this battle. They are in disbelief. Isn't this the quirkless kid that won the sport festival? How is he fighting against the villain who just defeated All Might? As All Might watching this is madness. He doesn't know what he can do. What can he do? He just want to stop Midoriya, but then suddenly Gran Torino steps in front of All Might as he said, "Toshinori, no." As All Might said, "What are you saying, Gran Torino? I can't let him do this, he'll..." As Gran Torino said, "Look at him." As they look into Midoriya, and Gran Torino said, "He's fighting without his brain. It's almost like his body is moving on its own. I'm sorry, Toshi, but you've already lost this battle. Right now, he is our safest bet." As All Might just cannot believe it. Will he allow a child to fight against All For One? As right now, All For One is having a hard time. Midoriya is bouncing around of him before another punch with Midoriya's fist being thrown into All For One's face, sending him flying. As All For One looking into the body of Midoriya standing with the playful cloud in hand, just standing there. As All For One stands up, he said, "I see. It finally makes sense. How amazing. To think that the person with all the quirks in the world will have to fight against the person with no power at all. Is this world truly plays some sick games on all of us, doesn't it? Me, the power of quirks with my hands, many powers I've collected over the years, against you, a kid who is empty of all quirks, deprived of quirk gene altogether, and holding your own against me? I see that you are an angel has been sent by the heavens to defeat the demon lord. With that angelic body of yours, well, so be it. I'll be happy to send you back into the gates of heaven by my hands." As All For One immediately shoots out another air cannon shot into Midoriya. However, Midoriya dodges it again and goes after All For One as he using the playful cloud to slam against All For One's body, sending him into another building. But then All For One grabs Midoriya's arm using his black whip and throws him, slamming him into the ground before slamming him again and again and throwing him aside. As then Midoriya, from under the rubble, he stands up, revealing his image, and All For One still can't see him, but he can't feel anything from him. No malice, no emotions, not a single thought in that head. It's only his body moving on its own. All those emotions, all the anger, all the hatred, happiness, fear, and anxiety, malice, all of these emotions, Midoriya have left them all behind. And the only thing that everyone can feel is the overwhelming intensity of his mere presence. As Midoriya, when he stands up, he grabs the playful cloud and immediately goes flying into All For One before jumping over his head, using the playful cloud to get some high ground overall for one that is flying up in the air, as he locks his legs around All For One's head and using the playful cloud starts slamming him over his head over and over and over and over and over again, before finally throwing the playful cloud aside and throwing punch after punch after punch until finally All For One is knocked out. His body falls from the sky as Midoriya is resting on top of him before he stands up, his bloodied face and knocked out body. He won. Everyone is in disbelief. They can't believe it. He won. All Might cannot believe it. He won. As when Midoriya stands up, he's breathing heavily, but then he just falls unconscious on the ground, as dead as he was before. And this is when I'm gonna leave it off, guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment down below. Tell me what you think about this part, and what do you think will gonna happen in the next part. Well, I have nothing more to say than Severed was here.